everybody! So this week I'm going to talk about the 4 worst things that I can remember that I've spent money on. The first is Axie Infinity. This was actually pretty recently and I'm still like a little bitter about it, but maybe it will maybe pay off. But so Axie Infinity is kind of like this video game similar to Pokemon, but online, and you buy these characters, which are technically considered NFTs, and you play and you can generate money technically by playing well, and by reselling your characters. It's all like in crypto currencies and sort of like the digital world. So there was this article about it that said, you know, Axie Infinity digital land plots are selling for like tens of thousands of dollars in the game. And if you were an early adopter, you could have really capitalized on reselling. Unfortunately, you know, I didn't really look into it, and I got into it at kind of the height. So I ended up spending $600 on this game because of just lack of research. The Axies I bought were really low level, but because I didn't do my research, I didn't realize you needed 3 just to play, and so I had to keep on putting more money into sort of the cryptocurrency that they use. But the gas fees to convert dollars to cryptocurrencies were like almost $100 every transaction, and I just didn't realize that. So like just to get my money there was $100. So I spent like $600 and really only got like maybe $100 worth of characters because of the gas fees. And my characters were bad because they were so low level, so I couldn't really win anything to make any money back. And the game changed a bunch of rules, so it's really not that easy to make money on it anymore by just playing. You have to actually win. And now I don't play anymore. Maybe in time it will appreciate and I can sell my characters, but I actually don't even like playing the game. So the second one, number 2, is something that happened almost like probably over 10 years ago. When I was probably 16, I spent $200 on shoes, these foam posits, and it was a gift, so I feel not too bad. It was a gift to the guy I was dating at the time. But for a 16-year-old to spend $200 on shoes that they earned, granted I was working at Foot Locker at the time, so I did have a discount, but with taxes, and you don't make that much at Foot Locker at that time. I probably made like $7.25 an hour. You get commission, but still evened out to about $7.25. That's like over 3 weeks of my paycheck to 1 pair of shoes for a guy that I'm no longer dating. But at least it was a gift. But no, I would not pay that much money for shoes anymore. Number 3 is traffic violations. And I do feel bad about this one still. I'm not the best driver. I never like purposely disobey the law, in my opinion. But I have had a lot of traffic violations, especially earlier when I first was like starting out driving. Probably the last 11 years or so, I've had about 14 violations. Whether it's parking or getting towed or speeding or like missing a stop sign, just like tons of just things. And that equated to like $2,200. Which equals to about, you know, almost, what, $200 a year in parking, you know, or like in traffic, like in tickets, which is like, you know, actually completely avoidable. I'm a lot better now than I used to, because $200 a year in tickets is something I could be saving. And the fourth, which I'm not horribly upset about, but I agree is a complete waste of money, is missed flights. And not even like accidentally, this is like purposely missing my flight. Which when I was first starting out in college traveling, that blew my mind why anybody would like just not take a flight that they paid for. You know, flights are pretty expensive. One of my friends did that. We had a round trip ticket to Thailand, and he just didn't use his home flight back to New York City. And I said, wow, it's like so much money. But now, you know, a handful of years later, I've done that a few times. And when your plans change last minute, a round trip ticket is sometimes even cheaper than a one-way ticket. And what you get for it, you know, is, you know, traveling to another country and stuff like that without, you know, paying the whole fee as if you went the whole way home and then traveled back to a country, you know. So, when I went to Pakistan, I had a round trip ticket from New York City to Islamabad, but I did half of the flight so I went from Islamabad to Istanbul in Turkey, and then just skipped the last leg back to New York City and stayed in Turkey. And that was because a friend of mine invited me to help volunteer at a tech event in London, which I'm super passionate about. And I was also going to go visit another friend in Norway. So Europe, you know, already being in Istanbul was a lot cheaper to get to than as if I went the whole way back to New York City and then flew back to London. But yes, it was a missed flight that was kind of like wasted money. And the second was my study abroad in China. I didn't know I was studying abroad in China until pretty last minute. Penn State paid for it, all my flights and everything. But I already had tickets booked to go to like Ireland, Scotland, and Northern Ireland with a friend, kind of around that same time. So I didn't use those tickets. Went to China, and instead of flying from New York City to Scotland, where I was going to meet my friend, I flew from China to Scotland, which the university paid for. But, so I missed the first, you know, skipped the first leg. But on the way home, I did use my ending flight from Dublin to New York City. But technically speaking, I could have just gotten to New York City for free if I would have stuck with the university's plan and flown from China to New York City directly. Still a little like my mind is blown that I'm in that position where I can just skip a flight, but so that's like my spiel, my rant, whatever, things that still hurt me a little that I wasted money on. Thanks for listening. Next week will be the 4 things that I believe I spent money on and that turned out to be worth it. So check back next week for another video.